A woman who pled guilty to killing her ex-boyfriend now says she didn't do it and will go to trial to prove her innocence. Devyn Michaels appeared in a court today for a sentencing hearing, but will now go to trial instead. She previously pled guilty to the murder and decapitation of her ex-boyfriend, Johnathan Willette. Willette's mother found his body in a bed at the home near Windmill Parkway in Pecos in the Southwest Valley. This happened back on August 7th in 2023. Michaels spoke in the courtroom today, claiming her innocence and apologizing to the family.
I'm so sorry, but I didn't do this, and I didn't know this would end up like this. I really didn't, and I will forever apologize to the family. But I don't know how to fix any of this anymore.
Michaels' guilty plea has been withdrawn and the case will now move forward to trial. She will now face a first-degree murder conviction. Her attorney stepped down and she will be assigned a new one. The trial is set for July 31st.
Yo, what up, Dope Biz Nation? This is your boy, Tay Biz. We are here with one crazy case. This is a case of Devyn Michaels and Johnathan Willette. Johnathan Willette is the victim. Devyn Michaels is accused of unaliving her ex-boyfriend and also decapitating him from his head, leaving his body in his home. And it took about a week before his mother was able to find him in the home without his head. This is a very, very graphic, very, very disturbing case. So I definitely want to make sure that you all are aware of that and that you utilize your own discretion when it comes to viewing this particular video. Now, this happened in Las Vegas. This happened in August 7th of 2023, where the actual unaliving took place. And I believe she was arrested around August the 16th, maybe 15th, something of that nature, which is about maybe a week or so later. After his body was found. Now, according to the reports, the phone, his keys, the cleaver that she used, and his head was all missing. Now, there was a hearing that took place on this Thursday that just passed where she did plead guilty. Okay, she pled guilty of this before. All right. However, in the hearing, she says and claims that she can prove her innocence, and now the prosecution have withdrawn the plea of guilty, so that way she can go to trial. And also her court-appointed attorney, defense attorney, Mr. Patrick Clark, stepped down from being her, from representing her. So he has withdrawn himself from this case. This is a very, very interesting case. We're going to get into this real quick, and we're going to get into the actual hearing, and then we're going to go ahead and look at the backstory of all of this. This case gets very, very crazy. Let's go.
In custody, Ms. Patrick is here on her behalf. Mr. Giovanni and Ms. Griffith are here on behalf of the state. This is the date time set for sentencing. Are both parties prepared to go forward?
Yes, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor.
All right, state this is a stipulated sentence. Anything you want to add?
I do just a couple of things, Judge. First, we have 3 victim speakers. I asked if they speak last.
Okay.
We obviously went to a settlement conference. We stipulated this sentence. I think that the life tale reflects the gravity and the haunting nature of the facts. As you know, the defendant not only murdered her ex, but then desecrated his body by decapitating him and putting chemicals on his body, causing it to burn. The defendant admitted to the fatal blow. She never admitted to the decapitation portion, but the evidence was overwhelming that it was obviously her who did it. Another haunting fact, and something that should be concerning, which supports the life tale, is that the defendant had a corollary child abuse case that pre-existed this. We reviewed, Ms. Griffith and I reviewed the minutes in that case, and it appears that 2 days after she murdered and decapitated her ex. She appeared in court in front of another judge in this courthouse and made representations that she was staying out of trouble, and obviously had that on her conscience at the time, walked right back out of the courthouse, and then ultimately was developed as our suspect and arrested. We take this case very seriously, obviously the family does as well. We believe the sentence reflects the gravity of the crime, so we will submit it. We do have some updates on CTS, which was wrong in the PSI.
Correct. I calculated the credit at 455 days as of today.
Okay, that sounds correct.
Because I calculated it in regards to she was on probation when this offense occurred. She then got that sentence imposed. She was released on that sentence, so she started accumulating the credit on that day. And I have it at 455 days as of today.
Yes, and we also have restitution requests. We've now received documentation.
Actually, I did not receive that.
Okay, just to bring you up to speed on this, this is supposed to be a sentencing hearing. This is a sentencing hearing. She was supposed to be sentenced on Thursday. Okay. Again, she is accused of unaliving her or murdering her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend. However, also his body was left to burn because there were chemicals on his body, pretty much to get rid of any evidence of her fingerprints or whatever the case may be. I'm pretty sure of. Also, there was a decapitation that took place. Now, she is not pleading guilty of decapitating him, but she is pleading guilty of actually murdering him, mainly because of an attack that she claims that happened between he and her, and she hit him with something to try to hurt him, but not necessarily murder him. Okay, so she's pleading guilty to that so far. So this is the sentencing that we're looking at.
Right, we just received it this morning. We showed it to Mr. Patrick. It's supposed to be $5,000 to VOC.
I have that.
$1,923 to James Willette.
Hold on just one second. $1,923?
Yes.
To who?
James Willette.
Okay.
And $2,500 to Yoko Willette.
How do you spell the first name?
Y-O-K-O.
Okay. Mr. Patrick, have you seen this?
I have, Your Honor.
Okay, what's your position in regards to the restitution?
They had the documentation, we're okay with it.
Okay, State, I'm gonna need you to file that documentation, because pursuant to the new case law, I can't order restitution without documentation.
Yes, ma'am.
All right? Ms. Michaels, what, if anything, would you like to say before I pronounce sentence against you?
Johnathan was very special, very unique, and I know no matter what I say at this moment, I know right now no one in the family is going to believe me. I know right now no one in the family feels that I'm innocent at any point, and I understand that. But I can actually prove my innocence. I actually can. And I'm not gonna stop fighting to prove my innocence. I have more than enough, and Johnathan deserves to have the actual person who's guilty behind bars. I was helping Johnathan. I can show that I was trying to help him, and this, I know, is hurting the family, and I can see it in your faces, and I know your hearts are angry, and they should be, and I'm angry for you. And this is not fair to you. This has been dragging out for almost 2 years. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to his children, any of them. And it's not right. It really isn't. It's not. I've seen so much that it's just terrible. The way that they manipulated and altered and deleted things is wrong. They should not be able to do it, and they have. And for you to be able to look me in the eye knowing that the things are altered and
You pled guilty, man.
Ms. Michaels, you are not to address the state. You are to
I'm not
address me.
addressing
You are.
the state. I
You're addressing Mr.
apologize.
Giordani. You are going to address me. What do
My
you want me to
apologies.
say? What do you want to say to me?
My apologies, I wasn't trying to address the state directly. It's just, I was told. I was just told one thing after another, and I truly believed that we were going to do the right thing, and it just didn't happen. I am so sorry for all of this, but I'm so sorry. But I didn't do this, and I didn't know this would end up like this. I really didn't. And I will forever apologize to the family. But I don't know how to fix any of this anymore. I don't. I keep listening to what everyone tells me is the best thing to do. Just do this and it'll work out this way, and follow this advice and we'll do this. And I keep listening to the people because they keep saying this is the best advice. It doesn't turn out the way they tell me it will. And it just gets worse and worse. And I don't know what to do anymore.
Judge, I'm not comfortable with this record. I'm willing to let her out of her plea if the court is inclined.
I don't know how to fix this.
All right.
It's just, this wouldn't be appropriate.
I completely understand.
Let's go to trial.
Mr. Giordani. All right. Ms. Michael, Judge Mr. Giordani says that he's willing to let you out of your plea and he's willing to try this case. And you understand that he's willing to try this case on an open murder. So a jury can convict you of a first-degree murder. Do you understand that? Or do you want to talk to Mr. Patrick about it?
Well, I don't want to talk to Mr. Patrick. He didn't listen to anything I
Miss
said.
Michaels, I need you to understand what I'm saying to you and answer my question. Do
Yes,
you want to withdraw your plea and go to trial?
yes, please.
All right. This plea is going to be withdrawn. Ms. Patrick, I need you to have some discussions with your client about.
Your Honor, I move to withdraw at this time. This case needs to go back to the appointed counsel.
Ms.
I will-
Michaels, hold on just 1 second. Ms. Michaels, you need to conduct yourself like this is a courtroom. If you cannot do that, then they're going to remove you because I still have business to conduct.
Yes, yes.
Do you understand? Mr. Patrick?
Judge, respectfully, I move to withdraw and have this case sent back to Office of Appointed Counsel. I am not in a position to accept appointment on this case should it go to trial at this time.
All right. All right, I'm gonna have to reach out to the Office of Appointed Counsel and get her a lawyer that's going to be appointed with the understanding this case is 2 years old. This case is not going to sit stagnant and wait around for a trial. So I'm going to reach out to Ms. Bush myself and have a discussion with her in regards to the appointment of counsel, because this is not going to be, this case has been delayed extensively, and this case is not going to further be delayed so that there is no justice for everybody.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, if I may, that's one of the other reasons, because with Barry Edwards, it would be late next year before I would even consider putting this on as a trial.
So I'll reach out to Ms. Bush,
Understood.
July 31st, 9 a.m.
And Your Honor, do you grant my motion to withdraw, please?
Yes, I'm going to grant your motion.
Thank you.
All right, so the judge and the defendant got into it a little bit. She, as you can see, she's very emotional about, getting out of her plea and actually going to trial. Again, the trial is July the 31st, okay? So if I'm not mistaken, July 31st is a Thursday, okay? So that Thursday is going to be the day for trial. I'm going to be keeping up with this because I have no idea if they're going to do like a preliminary thing or what. I have no idea. But because this case has been extended for so long and the defendant's attorney, well, ex-attorney, because he won't be able to actually go to trial until like late next year or early next year, then the trial is going to be set for July 31st. She's going to get a new attorney, and then they're going to go ahead and try this case. How long is the trial going to be? Not really sure yet, because we're going to get more information about this as we continue to uncover this case. All right, now what we're going to do is get into the backstory, the details of this case, because it gets stranger and stranger. Johnathan's son and Devyn Michaels were once married. And so Johnathan Willette and Devyn Michaels had an on and off relationship for a long time. So this case gets really, really crazy. The details of this is really, really incredible. So we're going to go ahead and look into this video and get into the nitty gritty of this actual case and really catch us up all the way to speed, man. So just buckle up, man. We're about to go for a ride. Here we go.
Police in the Las Vegas suburb of Henderson, Nevada, say 46-year-old Devyn Michaels attacked the father of her children, killing him, and then cut off his head. 46-year-old Johnathan Willette's mother found his body at his home more than a week after he was last seen. He was lying in bed without his head, and his body was actually smoking. Investigators believe that was from chemicals that Michaels had poured onto his body, possibly to cover up evidence. There were empty bottles of cleaner that were apparently found on the floor at the crime scene. Authorities say Michaels actually took Jonathan's head back to her own home before she put it in the trash. Prosecutors say it's believed that local garbage collectors unknowingly took the trash bag containing Jonathan's head, and at the time of this recording, that head has still never been found. Pretty graphic to talk about, but I do have to give you a little background on this family because it's complex, to say the least. So Devyn Michaels and Johnathan Willette, they had apparently been dating on and off for quite some time. They have 2 young daughters together, but Johnathan also had an adult son from a previous relationship, and Michaels ended up marrying him. Yeah, so in a way, he was both her stepson and her husband. It's complicated, I know. Now, they had all been planning to move in together. This is according to prosecutors, allegedly to make things more normal for the young girls. Jonathan's son reportedly told investigators that he and Michaels had gotten married so he could, quote, help her with her medical issues, but what exactly that might mean, it's unclear. Then we fast forward to August 15th, 2023. Henderson police arrest Michaels, and she is charged with Jonathan's murder. Now, Michaels reportedly told police that Johnathan was abusive, that he had tried to force her to perform a sex act on him. So she hit him in the head with some sort of stick. And a police report indicates that she told police that she didn't intend to kill him. She just wanted to hurt him enough that he would have to go to the hospital and she could figure out what she could do with her children. But that doesn't really explain why Michaels cut off Jonathan's head and poured chemicals like ammonia and bleach on his body. Well, Jonathan's mother reported to police that when she found her son's body, a meat cleaver was missing from the kitchen. Jonathan's keys, wallet, bloody cell phone were reportedly found at Michaels' place. And here's where things take another strange turn in an already bizarre and macabre story. Just days after Michaels killed Johnathan, but before his body was discovered, she was in court on another case. So Michaels, who also goes by Tracy Tavares, was dealing with a child abuse case under that name. She was accused of abuse after her 8-year-old daughter had told a teacher that her mother had given her a whooping. Now, Michaels spoke at that court hearing. Let's hear what she had to say.
I have done counseling classes, therapy, drug tests, psych evaluations. I've done everything. And everyone I've spoken to say I'm not an abusive person and they don't feel there's any risk for me to abuse her or would ever do this again.
So the judge ended up sentencing Michaels to 1 year of probation. But you know what happens? Michaels ends up back in front of that same judge a year later, entering into a plea deal for Jonathan's murder. She pleads guilty to a second-degree murder charge, and according to Nevada sentencing guidelines, she could face a sentence of up to life in prison, but she would have a chance of parole in just 15 years. The judge will have the final say at a sentencing hearing at the end of October. And for that, I want to talk about this a little bit more. I want to bring on retired New York City Judge Matthew Sciarrino to talk more about this. Judge, thank you so much for coming back here on Sidebar. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, before I talk about what the judge may or may not do here, just your overall reaction, impression to a case like this?
Well, before we get into his impression, we all know, of course, that this is going to go to trial July the 31st. But as you can see, this case is so complicated and it is so complex. The son is married to Devyn Michaels, and Johnathan Willette is also involved. It gets involved with Devyn Michaels. And she also has a case where she has displayed some abuse, some type of anger issues and things of that nature. She says she went to rehab, psych evaluations and things like that, and all these places or whatever to try to evaluate her. And she's claiming that they're like, she's fine. obviously she's not, you know, and so it's going to be hard to prove that this was self-defense. But I'm very interested to see what happens in this case, because you can't take a head with you to your home and then try to dispose of it and try to claim self-defense or second-degree murder. So very, very interesting. Let's see what this man's reaction is about this case so far.
I think this has a bit to do with television and How to Get Away with Murder and those other type shows. I think she made an attempt based on what she heard and felt to try to cover up this particular murder now that she's pled guilty with same. I also think that the convoluted nature of the family and the alleged abuse allegations are probably what prompted the plea deal and the prosecutors offering such a plea deal, because as you know, prosecutors, when it's a very messy type of situation and family dynamic, they're a little bit worried that the jury might take that out on the victim, the person who was murdered, and give a kind of say a pox on everybody type of a verdict. So I think a secure plea deal was the better way to probably handle this case in the prosecutor's minds.
Just to clarify that, are you saying that she might have been able to mount a defense here? Because the evidence looked pretty damning against her, no?
Evidence very much damning, but I also think that with a possible allegation of spousal abuse, she might be able to negate or mitigate some of the sentencing with regards to the case. And probably that would have been what the defense was, because spousal abuse in this type of case would be very, very common.
I've actually seen cases before where someone is accused of murder and dismembering or getting rid of a body, and the jury would believe that they panicked, that it wasn't necessarily a premeditated murder. They killed them, whether it was manslaughter or it was an accident or whatever it might be. And they might find them guilty of, with respect to abuse of a corpse or the disposing of the body or tampering with evidence, but they might actually find them not guilty of the murder. So there is a chance that could have happened. But I am curious, just the idea from a human point of view, I mean, it always shocks me that someone has the ability to chop a body up like this, cut someone's head off, the father of your children, somebody you had an intimate relationship with, to cut the head off their body. I mean, that's just so disgusting and sick. But unfortunately, we see these cases.
Yeah, it's beyond macabre. I mean, it's how, picturing yourself trying to do some of those acts. I'm a vegan, so I really can't even picture doing that to animals. And it's one of the reasons, after watching movies, etc., I've been a vegan now for 8 years, watching the farm factories and just the slaughter of pigs and cows. And so to do that to a fellow human being is beyond my understanding. That being said, I unfortunately have been in the court situations where those were the allegations and those were the pictures and those are the things that you're showing to a jury. And I'm sure that the pictures in this case that were taken by the evidence collection team would have been quite a lot for the jurors to handle.
And that's probably also why prosecutors were like, if we can avoid a trial, we can avoid a jury seeing this, we can avoid prosecutors having to present this, we can avoid the victim's family members from having to be exposed to this. There's an advantage for them to try to have a plea deal in this case, right?
Absolutely. And maybe it's because from New York, I don't consider a 15 years to life sentence to be particularly light. I mean, she very much will, the parole board in Nevada, I have a feeling, is probably pretty strict. And so even though she might be eligible in 15 years, doesn't mean that she's going to necessarily be paroled. Additionally, how much of a danger to the community is she? She apparently only picks on the people that are closest to her, as opposed to, strangers at large. So, 15 to life is a pretty, it's not that light a sentence in my mind.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's amplify that. Assuming she only serves 15 years, good behavior, rehabilitated, circumstances of the killing, someone would look at that and say, she murdered this guy and she chopped his head off, and the head, maybe in 15 years, the head would be recovered, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be recovered. I mean, someone would say that seems like a lenient sentence.
And if she commits something else, guaranteed people will criticize the judge for giving such a light sentence with regards to the case. If she has no further issues with the criminal justice system, it probably will go unnoticed that she received such a light sentence.
Even though he's talking about the fact that the sentence part, of course, which she's not going to be sentenced, she's is going to go to trial. But just looking back at this, to see how things operate, like you can be accused of one thing, but then you can find innocence in another. Like you already like hit the guy, knocked him out to the point where he dies, then dismembering him, right? And so the fact that there was no extra count on the dismemberment, all because she did not confess to that, she did not say or plead guilty to that, but she pled guilty to the fact that she did hurt him, and she wanted to hurt him enough to get him off of her in the heat of a moment, which would be considered manslaughter. Okay. And so, however, the dismemberment part is something that the prosecution obviously are saying they can prove it, because he's like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable with this record. Let's go ahead and go to trial, which is July 31st. This is in Las Vegas. So going to trial on this, the prosecution is saying that they have enough evidence to accuse her of murder for the first degree, because they can also probably prove that she actually did the dismemberment, okay, which is taking his head and the cleaver, going home with it, disposing of it, you know, things of that nature. And then utilizing chemicals to try to clean up the scene, or clean up the body, or get the evidence off of the body. A lot of that could be reactionary. Did she do premeditation on this? Who's to say? You know, that's the thing that has to be proven. Did she do this on premeditation? However, the fact that they could possibly prove that, okay, by also including that she tried to clean the scene up. She tried to clean it up. She dismembered him and tried to clean it up. She knew that they had a tumultuous relationship. They had a back and forth situation going on. You already had this abuse. You claimed that this abuse took place. And then maybe one day you snapped. No pun intended with the TV show. But one day you snapped, and now you have done this. You hit him in the head. Who's to say that he did anything to you? Did you have a strangle? Did you have any marks on you? Did the police find anything on you? Did they find a bruise? Did they find a black eye? Anything? Did anybody else in the family see any type of abuse, or any type of evidence of abuse, or residue of abuse between the both of you? Because according to the pictures and the photos and things of that nature, it seems like he was somewhat of a guy that was like into the family thing. However, you know, if the relationship was tumultuous, according to her, then she would have to use that in her defense. And I said that about self-defense. Like, I believe that she's going to go the self-defense route. And that's exactly what this gentleman on the show just said. It's like, she's going to go that defense route. And what benefits would she have in going in that route? You know what I'm saying? So very interesting to me. Let's get back into it, though. Let's go back to the video.
But what are some of the factors that would work in her favor in terms of being released in 15 years? And what would be some of the factors that would work against her?
The being a good prisoner, in that if she takes rehabilitative courses, if she takes, maybe she gets a degree in something while she's in prison, if such programs are offered, if she's part of a therapy program, her acceptance of responsibility is a great factor with regards to mitigation. All of those are taken into account by the parole board when they make the determinations as to whether or not to release the person, whether the parole board feels that they are a danger to the community that they're going to be released to, whether she has a program set up. Generally, it's a release to some kind of halfway house initially, where you'll have to find employment and make sure that you're no further risk to come back to the criminal justice system. Also, I would imagine that there's a degree of parole supervision, which will result in her having to check in regularly. She might have to confine to house arrest for a particular period of time while on parole, or some kind of drug program, or any of those things that the parole board feel in the particular case are needed to make sure that she doesn't enter back into the criminal court system.
So another, again, very interesting case. They were discussing the potential on this case when it first came out about the sentencing and things of that nature. However, we have discovered that there is going to be no sentence, that there's going to be a trial, and there's going to be a trial on July the 31st, 2025. Only 11 days away. Today is July the 20th, which is the day this video dropped. So only 11 days away. And it's on a Thursday where there's going to be a trial being held. She's going to get a court appointed attorney. I'm pretty sure she already has one that by now, because the sentencing hearing was Thursday last week, which was, I believe, July the 18th. No, July the 17th. So she's pretty much got an attorney already. And so, again, this is a case where unbelievable. It makes your jaw drop. This is a very, very, very graphic and sad case. And again, they had 2 children, and now the children will not have their father. Okay. And so seems like, according to what we saw just in snippets, it seems like the involvement between he and his children was present. So, and also this is something that I believe, according to reports, they have stated that this gentleman was very into his kids and stuff. So they're not going to have their father. And this is, and if this case goes the way I believe it might go in this trial, because I believe that she's going to get be found guilty of this, they won't have their mom either. So this is a very, very unfortunate situation for the children, and also just a very unfortunate situation for the family as well, on both sides. And so a lot of times we get into these relationships, you don't know what's going on in the person's mind. That's why it's good to pick the right person, effectively communicate, and if you're going to have somebody in your life, make sure you can have someone in their life you could trust and that you can actually, have some peace with. Things like this is not acceptable. Like, this is all this tumultuous relationships, going back and forth with people that are abusive. If this person is abusive, or this person is showing signs of abuse, leave that person. All right, leave that person. Leave. Get the help you need to leave if it comes to that. But staying in relationships that are not healthy for you, that are not good for you, is not the move. But I am interested to know what you think in the comments below, man. So go ahead and like, share, subscribe to the channel, but also like and share this video. I would like to know what you think in the comments, man. This right here was just a crazy case. I just came across this like not too long ago. I'm like, whoa, what is going on? I started reading. I'm like, what? Absolutely insane. But hopefully we get some more information. I'm going to do a little bit of digging on this, hopefully get some information. And this is going to be a trial that's going to happen again July the 31st. So we got something to take a look at and see what's going on here. I believe the only count, I think it's a single count of just murder to the first degree. But anyway, go ahead and like, share this video, subscribe again to the channel. I'm your boy Tay Biz, and I appreciate you watching this video, and peace.